Hey guys, Jeremy here with TacFix. So it's the first video of 2019 and we're going to kick things off right. Today we're going to start on a two-part build series, which is the first build for this channel. Today we're going to be putting together an AR-9, and for that I've chosen an Angstadt Arms Receiver Set. Let's get building. Alright guys, we're up top on the bench, and this is the Angstadt Arms 940 Receiver Set. Now over the last couple of years, the pistol caliber carbine market has really exploded. There's a lot of options out there. This is definitely not one of the cheaper options out there, it did meet all of my criteria. I wanted a billet set that did not feature a forward assist. I wanted something that was reliable and robust, and I wanted something that looked good aesthetically. When I was shopping around for the receiver set that I was going to use, I had a few suggestions from friends, everything from one of the PSA sets to buying a complete rifle from CMMG or Angstadt Arms, but I knew I wanted this to be something I built myself, so I was looking for a company that put out a good quality receiver set, and Angstadt Arms is the one that I ended up choosing. Now we're not going to spend too much time talking about the parts on here, but we are going to go over a few of the things that I wanted to do with this build. As you guys have seen before, I've reviewed a couple of things from Strike Industries. I'm a big fan of their products. So for furniture, we've got their Strike Grip and the Strike Rail. Now I wanted something that was modular and lightweight. This one does have some of the rail sections off of the top, so it is going to be reduced weight on here, and it's got the M-lock attachment points that I prefer, and it's also got a couple of QD attachment points, which are a nice little handy feature to have on there. Now as far as the last piece of the furniture, we do have for the buttstock, or rather pistol brace here, I'm going to go with the SB Tactical PDW style brace. And because no build is complete without a little bit of bling, I decided to go with some of Strike Industries' Redline products. I've got their selector switch in the Redline, which is a very good looking selector switch as far as I'm concerned. We've got their Redline pivot and takedown pins, Redline charging handle, and a couple other Redline rail sections. Now for the sights, I've got a pair of Magpul M-Bus sights, and then we've got the buffer and buffer spring from Angstadt Arms. And to help with quick manipulation, I've got a bolt catch from Seekin Precisions that's got a great texture on it. Really easy to manipulate on this one. For the muzzle device, we have a Call Valley Precision Linear Comp. One of the great things about doing a pistol caliber build is there's not a lot of recoil to mitigate, so you don't have to worry about using a brake or anything like that. This basically just redirects the muzzle gases forward, so it pulls the concussion away from your face. Continuing with the red theme of the build, I went ahead and picked up a couple mags from ETS, their red series. These are only available from Gun Mag Warehouse, but I think these are a really neat offering and they really lend to the look of the build that we're going for today. Now the last three things I want to look at are what are, in my opinion, the things that make or break a good AR build. Now there'll be no shortage of debate on this topic, and certainly a good argument could be made for making sure you have a good matching receiver set, because that's going to minimize the amount of slop you have, and certainly that's a close runner-up. But for my money, these are the three things you want to focus on. First thing is going to be the gas system. For the bolt carrier group on this build, I went with a black nitrided offering from Faxon Firearms. Now the second of the big three is going to be our barrel. This is also from Faxon Firearms. It's made of 4150 steel. This is also black nitrided, just like the bolt carrier group. It features a 1 in 10 twist rate, and it's 8.5 inches. And third is the trigger. This is one of those things that in my opinion can make or break a good rifle, at least how it feels in shooting and how it performs for you. For this build I went with a simple CMC trigger. I think these are excellent quality of build. They aren't the flashiest looking trigger out there, but they're crisp and clean, and they do a really good job of making your rifle perform at its peak. Now before we get started building, let's talk about a couple of things that are going to be different when you're building a pistol caliber carbine versus building your typical AR-15. The components that are going to be different and aren't going to be mil-spec to AR-15 are going to be typically your lower receiver. Most of these are going to be made with a smaller mag well that can fit different magazines. Most of the time you're going to see these made to fit a Glock pattern mag or a Colt style mag. Now you can also get different adapters to adapt a standard mil-spec AR-15, but those in my opinion are less than desirable. I've heard some good things about a few different manufacturers, but for my money, when you're going with something like this, you want to buy a dedicated lower that is made to fit a pistol caliber carbine. The next thing that's going to be different is obviously going to be your barrel. Anytime you're changing up calibers, obviously your barrel is going to change because it needs to be chambered for that particular caliber. Apart from just being chambered differently, you'll also notice that with a 9mm build and most other pistol calibers, there's going to be no gas port. That's because they operate on what's called a straight blowback system. Now, if we compare this bolt carrier group to one from an AR-15, this is a DLC-coded Toolcraft bolt carrier group, you'll notice there's a couple of differences. Number one, the mass on this is quite a bit heavier. Second, you're going to notice that the gas key area is different. The reason for that is because on your typical AR-15 bolt carrier group, the gas key up here is made to mate with the gas tube inside of your upper receiver because it operates on what's called a direct impingement gas system. Whereas typically your pistol caliber builds are going to be straight blowback. Now what that means is instead of operating from gas that ports up out of the gas block and down the gas tube to operate the cyclic action of your bolt carrier group, what's going to happen is the gases are going to push straight back on your bolt carrier group in order to cycle it and take up another round. So because of that, there's no forward extension on the gas key. Another thing you'll notice is going to be likely different is going to be your muzzle device. Typically, your pistol caliber barrels are not going to be threaded to the same thread pitch, so you want to pay attention to that when ordering muzzle devices. You want to order one for the caliber that you're building. Now, the last thing that's going to be different is going to be your buffer system. You're going to notice that the buffer for a pistol caliber carbine is going to be significantly heavier than a carbine buffer. And the reason for that is because of the design of the bolt carrier group. Because it's a straight blowback system and the bolt is much heavier, a heavier buffer needs to be used to compensate for the extra force that's exerted upon it. And now, except for your magazines, that's pretty much everything else that's going to be different on your AR-9 build or AR-45 build, whatever pistol caliber you decide to go with. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started building this.